The title of this video is exactly what it says on the tin. I rant about opinions that I see on the internet that have some popularity or I constantly see time and time again whilst trying to keep the video civil. If you see your opinion on this video, I don't hate you as a human being, I just don't like your opinion. This is an opinion of your opinion. To those who agree with me, do not harass anyone with said differing opinion. You can debate in the comments, but please keep it civil. You got that? Now let's get on to the video. Oh hi, it's a RAOISFOTI episode on this channel. Episodes 1 and 2 will be here whenever I feel bothered to put them here, and it's also easier for me to separate my music and this stuff that I don't really care about on here. Speaking of my music, I'm going to use that as a background. That way, you ask for it, you go to the other channel, you go check it. Also, don't need to worry about copyright claims if it's your own. Yeah. Anyways, onto this video, which is basically a Destiny one after the 2 Ruby ones I did back in, I think, March or April. I can't even remember when the last one was. But regardless, I was going to make tons of Destiny videos, but they never happened because people who share those opinions don't share those opinions anymore. For example, I had an entire rant about the power fantasy idea back in post-Black Armory. But no one's talking about how they still want to keep Whisper buffed because they like that power fantasy. To be honest, I think Whisper might be good now with the changes to Lunar Faction and Rally Barricade, but I haven't done the raid yet, so we'll see what happens. If you're wondering why there's Nightfall in the background, it's just because it's the only thing I could find and the only thing I have of me doing anything Destiny 2 related, because I don't have a capture card to record myself on the Xbox, so all I have is Twitch to stream and then to upload the video and to download the video and to take it. That is it. Yeah, so this one is just kind of about the PvP meta currently as of Shadowkeep. And just to preface, I'm like pretty much an average PvP player, I guess. I don't know what my KD is. I think my KDA is like 1.2 or something, but as for my KD, I don't know. And to describe the meta, at least what some people have said, is that scout rifles are back. You know, all of a sudden, people using MIDA, people using Jade Rabbit, surprisingly. And hand cannons have got like the maddest range fall off I've ever seen happen. It's genuinely dramatic, but what I just saw, I feel like I just watched the entire community gasp. Literally, the oxygen has left their body once they saw that. But apparently, according to some people, the game is now apparently about team shotting back in year 1 of Destiny 2 and hanging from the back of the map with Jade Rabbit, MIDA, and pulse rifles. But I don't think that's correct. Shotguns exist. They're still really good. Mindbender's Ambition, Dots Rock Blues, Chaperone. I mean, Chaperone is going to have to be skilled with, but what other shotgun is there that's really good? Oh god, what's that shotgun that I keep seeing? I actually don't know. But yeah, I don't know, those 3 shotguns. Oh. Also, did you guys forget about the godly sniper that is the Erentil fusion rifle? And its gang of long range, slow charging, high damage infusions. I think Telesto is still good. Sniper's okay, but I rarely see anyone sniping, but sniping is just a skilled thing to do. To be honest, as much as people like to say scout rifles are ruining the meta, they aren't. This meta isn't that bad. Almost all the maps are awful for scout rifles, which basically gives hand cannons an easy fighting chance. Fam, I still see last words in Crucible. I got mapped with a last word with a goddamn scout or a pulse. I can't remember what I was using, but people can use last word from range apparently. Whatever. But surprisingly, I've been using Sturm and Drang competitive lately, which I used to actually get Recluse, surprisingly, last season. But what I've noticed is sidearms can compete against hand cannons now with this range fall-off, which is really stupid, but they're really good. And it's completely insane how I can use a sidearm and still compete. It's genuinely absurd. Surprisingly, this range fall-off nerf actually benefits hand cannons. Well, not every hand cannon, but they do benefit 110 hand cannons, And you know what Sturm is? A 110 hand cannon. Granted, no one really uses 110 hand cannons outside of Duke, maybe? But they are good now because of the range fall off nerf. 110s are pretty viable hand cannons to use outside of the hand cannon's intended range, especially when they start damage falling off. When they start falling off in damage, because 110 hand cannons can still free tap. I mean, they still free tap. 110s are able to maintain their free tap potential once you hit any dramatic fall off, unless you go really far and you're approaching like scout level range, then, you know, I mean, why? But other than that, other hand cannons can't do that. You know, I have a Duke with high caliber rounds, Outlaw, and Rampage, and it's pretty good in 1v1 because it can still free tap from a distance, and it has decent range, so I don't have to suffer through the range fall off that easily. It's the same thing with Sturm if you have the catalyst for it, which I'd advise you to get because honestly, that gun is an incredible game changer. And surprisingly, Sturm and Drang might be really good to run on certain maps. Honestly, Sturm and Drang is actually good, I think. I want to say I think, but I don't know. We'll see how the meta shapes itself, but otherwise, I think Sturm's great. 110s might actually be good. If you get yourself a Duke, doesn't matter if you don't have Rampage on it. Whilst Rampage will let you 2-tap, you can still 3-tap people. Other than that, we have auto rifles, which are pretty decent. Uriel's Gift exists, apparently, again. It's been resurrected back from the Destiny 2 meta. I know Uriel's Gift can outbeat a few pulses and hand cannons quite decently if you get headshots, especially because it has high caliber rounds. Other than that, in terms of other weapons, Recluse is still kind of dumb, which is perfectly understandable, honestly. But yeah, I hope that gets dealt with. I don't see how it could get nerfed besides just removing Feeding Frenzy, to be honest. I feel like removing that would help the weapon. Other than that, bows, swords, and non-recluse SMGs are kind of loose in PvP. Other than that, I think the meta is okay. I'm not against team shotting. If you want to stick with a team, you still can. But guess what? Grenades are still super powerful. Just throw a pulse nade and they all split apart. Throw a solar nade and they all split apart. You know, any way to get someone away from their teammates. It's pretty easy to stop people from hanging around the team. Just start sniping. You maybe use a fusion rifle. Maybe start charging in and rushing. It all just depends on the map you're in. I feel like everyone's complaining about team shotting now because they're probably playing on maps in which team shotting is very viable, where there's long and open sight lines in which they can't just shotgun rush someone now, especially since Widow's Court is a thing. Although Twilight Gap, I don't see anyone being able to just easily scout rifle you on that map, because that map, whilst it does look like a big map, it's a pretty close quarters map in my opinion, so I doubt scouts are going to be too viable. But other than that, honestly, if you're complaining about scouts, you're kind of bad. Okay, well, okay, you know what, I'm gonna, that's not a good statement to say, but I'm just saying scouts aren't an issue in my opinion. At least MIDA and Jade Rabbit aren't an issue in Crucible. Some people want to play passive, let them play passive, but you can punish them for playing passive if you're aggressive enough with a shotgun or an Erentil. Heck, there are some, unless you're playing on whatever the Pantheon remake is called in Destiny 2, unless you're playing on that map, there are pretty easy ways to flank people who are using scout rifles and playing passively. Especially because, you know, you can use a pulse rifle to stop them, to get them down. You can use a different scout to probably get them away. Other than that, shotguns are still great. You know, you can't, if you force, the easy way to do something like that is just to force them to get into a close range gunfight with you. And then, oh look, they can't use their scout anymore. They can't be using their scouts to check their power level now, can they? In regards to team shotting, another way I could see being able to prevent team shotting is to bank on heavy or try and get your super up very quickly, because that way you'll be able to gain yourself a one-shot kill gun. So any guns that one-shot, like shotguns, snipers, fusions, are good, because those are one-shot potential guns which basically stop people from being able to team up too easily, because those are weapons which basically take out people in one hit. Heck, grenade launchers are really good. You use yourself a fighting lion, maybe use yourself a Oring's Maw, maybe a mountaintop if you're that skilled, but, you know, other than that, I don't think this meta is as bad as people like to make it seem. I think this is as genuinely shaping up to be a great meta. Because now there are some weapons which almost never get used, are probably now going to be more usable. Because genuinely, 110s are good now. I think sidearms might be very good until people, you know, these are probably going to be good things until people realize, oh yeah, these are good. I think it's just because people saw scout rifles getting buffed and just thought, oh, scout rifles are good in PvP, when that's not necessarily the case, really. Scout rifles just got buffed in PvE, and so people decided, oh yeah, we're just going to use scout rifles now because they got buffed in PvE, so therefore people are just taking their scouts into PvP. Plus, I think there's a quest that requires you to use scout rifles. I think it's the Randy's throwing knife quest now. So people are going to be using scouts more often. I think that's the same thing when people were using snipers in for Revoker last season. And when people were using bows in Gambit last season for the Hush, which is a terrible bow. Jesus Christ, that quest was awful. But other than that, yeah, I don't think this meta is boring or terrible. I genuinely think it's genuinely entertaining in my opinion. I feel like long range stuff can compete, short range stuff can compete, and whatever Bungie wants to decide medium range is can compete. But other than that, yeah, this is my rant done. The video ends at this point, by the way. This is just for more Nightfall footage, and I just can't be bothered to edit it. Honestly, I can't be bothered to sift through this entire gameplay of me struggling on soloing the Nightfall and doing that. But other than that, yeah, you can exit. It's done. I'll probably put a reminder on the thumbnail or something.
looks like it's fully operational again. After the Guardian destroyed the root mine the first time, we spent weeks taking the simulation apart. The Vex have rebuilt it entirely. You've really messed things up this time, Osiris.
It was a risk I had to take, Sagira. The Guardian has this handled.
I'll go get that.
Shielded Minotaur incoming. One of those modules must be generating the field.
You haven't lost your step, Guardian. I've been teaming up. We should do it again sometime.
Leave my Guardian alone, Sagira.
When you destroyed the original root mine and left, we programmed demolition charges into every floor of this spire and reduced it to bits of data. It's unsettling to know that the Vex have rebuilt all of this so quickly.
Is he about to go get that?
Guardian. I miss teaming up. We should do it again sometime.
Is he about to go get that?
here
about to go get that. about to go get that. gotta go get that. about to go get that. Is he about to go get that?